Hello, my name is Guillaume Hervé, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Zetane Systems. And today's webinar is really about sharing a lot of the research and work that we did working with AI teams, machine learning folks in businesses and enterprise to identify what their unique needs were around tools to get their job done more effectively. So thank you and welcome. We're based out of Montreal, and just before we begin, I'd like to just highlight that we do have a token gift for the people that have joined us today. So please take note of the promo code here because you can use it to get a discount on the software that you'll see at the end of the presentation. Also, we really hope that this will be a conversation, even though we're delivering this via a webinar digitally. So please ask any questions during the webinar. Use the platform provided, and after the webinar, give us feedback as to what you heard today. Really, really important for us to continue to address the right market needs. Okay, so let's get started. Just a little bit of background on who I am, because it is relevant to the information I'm going to share with you in the next slides. So I've been a mentor for years now at some of the key accelerators in the Montreal and Canadian area, including Techstars here in Montreal on the AI front, Founder Fuel, which looks at software as a service type of solutions, CTS, which is a medtech accelerator, and District 3, which is a university out of Concordia University incubator, and I've worked at others as well. But before that, I was an executive in some pretty high-tech companies where I was also responsible for engineering groups all the way to business leadership. And I certainly understand the challenges of providing the right tools to people in industry. And I was also the founder and CEO of a company that is now known as CA Healthcare. And I've published as well on innovation in business, in the business environment. Now, why am I saying that? Because the one thing that I got out of all of that experience, which we brought into Zetane, was the rigor and the client empathy that one needs to have if they really want to understand what the frustrations are by users and clients of a specific around a specific issue, and really understand what they need to solve their particular pain points. And so we've conducted well over 200, probably closer to 250 now, interviews and or meetings with AI teams and AI supervisors and machine learning experts in businesses and enterprise, but also management and C-suite type executives. And this is what we're going to share with you today. So let's start with the first group, the data scientists and the ML engineers. So the first point that came out loud and clear is they want to reduce the guesswork involved in what they do. They often spend a lot of time scratching their heads trying to figure out why is our project not working. And so anything that we can help them with addressing that is really, really important. Number two, they want better real-time debugging capabilities, because right now they make changes, they run them through a server somewhere. Depending on the model size, the data complexities, and so on, it can take hours, but it can also take weeks or months to get an answer back. And there's a lot of wasted time only to get an answer that is negative. So anything we can do to help shorten that cycle and eliminate those trial and errors would be awesome. It takes too long to figure out a problem with data, was number three. They want to have fewer iterations and fewer of these futile training trials that are frustrating for everyone. And they're looking for more out-of-the-box solutions so that they don't have to spend so much time developing tools and or integrating and or coding stuff because nothing's available on the market. Next was, the addressing collaboration. A lot of frustration around the fact that by the time a project is done and shown to the rest of the company or to the domain experts, the business experts, that then find problems with the models and or the assumptions, creates a lot of wasted time, because if they had known sooner, they could have addressed these issues earlier on and ensured the success of the project. And finally, one of the common feedback that we received was that no one really knew what they were doing. They feel very frustrated that no one understands what I'm working on. So that's on the data scientist and ML engineer side. On the supervisory side, and here I'm talking about the AI machine learning supervisors and the decision makers, management, and all the way to VPs and C-suite decision makers, but also clients. Here's the feedback. ML team supervisors want to have better tools to understand more quickly and specifically what is wrong or where a team is stuck so that they can help them get unstuck more effectively. They're looking for better subject matter expert involvement earlier on in a project because right now it happens pretty well at the end. They're looking for ways to save time through these long iteration cycles because time is money. They need to understand risk better than and more rigorously before deployment, something that may not be of an issue in academia and research. But if you're about to deploy something to your clients or to the consumer, you really want to be able to address that head on. They're asking for ways to speak to clients because right now the AI machine learning jargon just doesn't translate over well. People don't know what a tensor is. They don't know what YOLO V3 is. They don't know what a CNN is. So how do you make AI and machine learning human understandable was the next challenge. And they want business solutions for the business context, and they'd love to be able to see proof of concepts earlier so that they can decide whether to continue funding or not. And finally, the flip side of what the other team was saying is, I have no idea what my AI team's working on. I don't understand what they do. So that's the different groups that we spoke with. But more than that, one of the main conclusions that our team came up with, which you see here, is that AI in industry is a team sport. You have to have not just the data scientists or the ML engineers working, but you need to involve decision makers and domain experts much earlier on. And for those that have regulators or regulatory environments and customers, but even your internal customers need to be involved. And so software today has to address the team aspect of machine learning and deep learning in companies. Also, people have told us, look, this is not about us working harder. We want to work smarter. We need tools that allow us to focus in on the right areas of our data, of our model, of our outcomes more effectively. So if we know all this, what is preventing a more rapid adoption in enterprise? So for the people that are looking at this as part of the webinar, these are key takeaways, certainly from my perspective and from a lot of the business leaders' perspective. So a lot of the leaders are telling us we're too dependent on a small group of AI experts and data scientists to scale our business. And as you know, that's not scalable. There's not enough of those people graduating to do that. And they're not necessarily the right people to fill your AI teams with. You want a diverse group of technically competent people. The second point was about making those tools accessible to software developers, engineers, and other people that don't have necessarily an AI background but are extremely tech savvy and should be able to be part of the development cycle of an AI project. Third, tools are generally made by academia through research, and they're not necessarily well suited for business. And so this was a challenge of adoption as well. And along with that, there are way too many tools. And so a lot of these tools are not built to be interoperable with each other. So it causes a lot of inefficiencies and headaches. Number 5, open source is great, especially when you're doing research and academic work. But when businesses need tools that are supportable and they're consistent and reliable, open source may not be the best solution. And if you're going to commercialize something, some of those open source licenses preclude you from doing that. Next, we had the need to better demonstrate AI in an operational context. Everybody seems to have an AI department, small, kind of on the fringes of the company. But for those departments to have more of an impact and to grow, they need to demonstrate the business context of what they're doing. Next was, repeatability, trust, risk assessment before deployment. Key issues in industries, especially if you're deploying to high-risk areas. And finally, a lot of the current tools are being seen as barriers to effective collaboration because the non-AI experts do not understand the language of the AI teams. And so therefore, getting people to work together becomes pretty difficult. Okay, so that's what we found out, but we also did quite a bit of work on finding what other experts are saying I could have used many quotes, but I thought this one was the best. We've had this quote in our business for a while now because it's very much around what we are trying to do and what we've launched through the Zetane software engine. So Danny Lang out of Unity was formerly at Uber and Amazon. So an expert in deploying AI, machine learning specifically, and deep learning in businesses, had this to say. The AI engineer's biggest challenge will be to move from the fringes of the organization to becoming mainstream. Here you have to scale and you have to be dependable. New software development and maintenance methods need to be developed as AI is inherently dynamic in its nature. And so you'll see that we've created an environment that addresses a lot of the concerns that Danny had highlighted here. We've had the luck and also I've been very fortunate to have Dr. Freddie Lecuyer from Thales, Chief AI Scientist at Cortex, but also a world expert on explainable AI, spend time with us over the last few months to help guide what our platform should look like as he's looking for tools from a business context perspective. And having seen Zetane several times himself, that's what he had to say. The Zetane platform provides a unique advantage for understanding the rationale behind ANN models. We really see Zetane as a high potential must-have platform to support certification of ANN-based machine learning models and ensure adoption inside the company. So certainly a guiding light for us as we continue to try to meet those expectations. One of the projects that one of our clients did out of Presagius was to leverage Zetane, and you'll actually see this a bit later on a satellite image recognition project. But having used the platform internally, they said that we demonstrated through Zetane the value of visualizing inputs going through your process to give you an output for ML applications, especially for the purpose of explainability and getting better introspection into what's happening in the models to make better decisions earlier. So it's time for a change. We believe our platform is trying to lead that change. We ask people the question, okay, so if we're going to bring something to the market, what must be considered? So sharing these with you, especially for any startups out there, first of all, you have to be able to easily launch from your existing frameworks and existing models. Too much has been invested in companies there that you don't want to either reinvent it, and there's no need to. Number two, please, we were told if you're going to add a tool, please remove at least one, but really more than one. I'll show you how we've done that. We wanted to have a platform that you've already done the work for us, where we, Zetane, translates the latest machine learning and deep learning research into a more practical business use so that I don't have to do all that reading and I can pick and choose from a library if possible. We've done that. We don't want people to need a PhD to understand your tool and make it accessible to the general population of developers and programmers in our company. It's got to be intuitive, easy to use. It's got to be easy to integrate. We don't have much time to spend getting ramped up. And it's got to work with different data types. We're finding that something that was a revelation towards the end of our interviews, that a lot of companies really are working with multiple data sources, not just one. And so they don't want to have a different tool for each data. So start your engine, start your Zetane software engine. We're going to show you various parts of real examples through the platform. So first of all, Zetane integrates and pairs with all your favorite platforms, the more common ones. And we made sure to be in line with the latest ONNX standards to make sure that we have interoperability. And that's a big part of our platform. Number two, we really wanted to demonstrate the N-X. So to explain N-X and the value of Zetane, you have to take a step back and go, what does an AI team typically do in a given day, aside from the actual pure AI machine learning work? Well, here's what they actually work on. They have to build in-house tools and update them and upgrade them and integrate them because tools just don't exist that are easy to use for them. They work on visualizers sometimes, or they'll go get a visualizer and again, try to integrate it with the rest of their workflow. The same goes with dashboards. A lot of work being done on creating dashboards internally because what's available today may not be completely suitable. A lot of your time, the time of your teams is being spent as well on either finding explainable AI solutions, and or creating them themselves and bringing them into their own tools. And a lot of time on analyzers and data quality assessment as well. And with Zetane, we eliminate most, if not all of that. That's really our goal in life. And not only do we do that and bring you the N minus X answer, but on top of it, because of the power of the platform, you're really going to have earlier insights, more effective decisions around your models and your data earlier on to save you a lot of the iterations that we talked about earlier. We wanted it to be intuitive. What's more intuitive than the latest video games where you're able to walk into a game and very quickly know how to play it? It's all intuitive. It's all immersive. It's all expensive. We certainly inspired ourselves from that perspective, and you'll see that in the platform. And we wanted it to be intuitive, very tactile. So the best example is the leap that Windows and Mac OS did from the DOS days. We want to bring that same leapfrog forward type of approach to industry. So all types of data types. Our data pipes allow you to ingest video. They allow you to ingest all types of imagery. They allow you to look at CSVs in a very different way to be much more productive and effective on how you look at your data there. We allow you to ingest LiDAR data and do so, very easily, depending on your sources of data there. You can do mesh 3D meshes of all kinds. We've helped clients with projects doing that as well, but they can do it themselves. We do facial imagery, of course, a big demand for tool users out there. And again, you can manipulate the data, but also see your images go through your model, represented visually, and access every layer of your model, every node, understand how each input is working its way through to give you the output. You can do medical images for people in that field as well, and or molecular. We do 2D, 3D structural plans and text and audio. So certainly lots of data options through Zetane. You're not limited there. And one of the things that we really wanted to address head on was the translating the abstract into something intuitive, more engaging, more understandable. So I'll show you a couple of examples of how that is achieved through Zetane. So on the left, what you're seeing is first what you would typically be having a conversation with. In this case, it's an MNIST model. Again, if you're an expert, great. If you're not an expert, you have no clue what that means. On the right is that same model shown through Zetane. So as you can see here, the MNIST is now shown visually. The experts can much more effectively work through their model, understand each aspect, do debugging, do address explainability, and explain to others why the image is being treated the way it is, and to give you the final outcome. Here's another example where now you're going to see tensors. Now again, we talked about tensors earlier. Tensor discussion typically happens with what is shown on the left, but nobody understands that unless you're an expert in that field. And so with Zetane, you're able to display your tensors visually with all the richness of the data that you need to also understand what's going on. So here's tensors in Zetane. So you're seeing that same tensor now being reflected where you can not only understand the structure of the tensor, you can see how each layer is behaving. You see metrics, data, and graphs that augment that so that you better understand and make the right decisions for your business, for your applications. The other thing that we wanted to do is demonstrate to you how you create an immersive environment by having all aspects of your project reflected in one software engine. So here you're going to see your construction project. So what you're seeing on this video is a real AI in action, real time. We're seeing the work site, you're seeing the model in the middle, you're seeing the dashboards on the right. And of course, you can take as many of these frames in and out to show experts and non-experts what your project is doing and how relevant it will be to this particular case, a construction site application. You can see the training happen in real time, hugely valuable, especially for the data scientists and ML engineers that are looking to understand what each node might be doing, how the inputs are going through, and where to make changes and where to optimize, and where, what parts of the model are more important than others. So that's an example of a data set going through a training run. And of course, debugging and pruning. You can see, again, you've seen this before, but images go through very, very well. And you can have access to various parts of your data set in whichever way you want to organize it or visualize it. Same thing on the pruning and other optimization techniques. What you're seeing here is on the left is the unpruned model in Zetane, first two layers that we're showing you the feature maps. And on the right, the pruning that happens to give you the same or better accuracy with a more effective model. So now you can record that and you can demonstrate it to others and snapshot these things in time to show the evolution of your thinking and your decision as to why this model is the right model for your business application. Now, also with that, this capability gives you the following better debugging of models visually. You see the results of your actions in real time. So that allows you to, with the help of dashboards and metrics, be guided through Zetane as to where to look first, where to consider areas of interest within your model or your data to make you work more effectively and save time. You also know what is not working, so we finally get an answer to that question and save the guesswork for somebody else. And also in 3D, you get the different parts of your data. You get to superimpose your data. You can see different dimensions of your data, which really helps understand what the story behind the data is. The data always has a story that it's screaming to tell. Through Zetane, you can see it. You can see what's going on. And some data sets like geospatial, are naturally 3D. But more than that, we as humans live in a 3D world. We operate in a 3D context, and we work more effectively that way. So that 3D environment is really very optimal for better work, for a better work environment. We wanted the collaborative aspects to come through in this webinar. So this is an example of a project that was done by one of our users. Now, the context here is they had accumulated a lot of surgery data from a simulator, and they wanted to use that data, which, by the way, this is data of actual trained surgeons doing a surgery. And so they had, very viable data and very credible data. And they wanted to see if that data could be used to predict an outcome and what are the key leading indicators of a surgery to predict if the outcome of the surgery will be positive or negative. And so using Zetane, here's what they created. They were able to, first of all, work on their model, create and bind the tables to the 3D objects. And by doing that, they were able to understand a lot of things and gain significant insights that they were able to then turn around and validate through medical folks and ensure that what was actually being predicted and what was being modeled was accurate. And this got a lot of buy-in and got a lot of attention because now you're having a business context or an operational context of how the AI is solving a real problem. Explainability and trustworthiness and understandability is something that we put a lot of work on based on some of the feedback we got from different people. So the platform actually comes with already a dozen or so XAI tools out of the box, one click away, and more are being added every week. And so we are doing that work for you to do the literature search, to find out how to bring models in and that you can just use out of the box, so to speak. And so, we have Lime. This is how a Lime model would look like. Your model using Lime. We have other GradCAM type of models as well. It's just to show you, how powerful the rendering and the insights that you get from seeing exactly what your model is seeing and being able to explain it and make decisions accordingly. Human understandable I think you're getting the flow of that through the videos that I've been sharing with you. But here's another example. This was the previous example from Presagius, which was doing the satellite imagery project. So I'm going to run you through that more complete video. So what you're seeing here is that same project being used to capture the satellite images, run them through a model, and give you the output. And you're going to see a few things here. One, you're going to see how easily it is to launch Zetane out of Python, 1 or 2 lines of code. Bang, the model's up, your data pipe is open, the images are going through. Now you've got a CNN right in front of you, and the experts can go as deeply into or as high level as they want as they work through the various layers to understand how the images are being treated and what importance is being given to what features, so as to demonstrate why the output, why the solution should be trusted. So, which is you're seeing on the top right here. This was a huge breakthrough for them. They were able to actually get unstuck. They were stuck on some specific problems with the model. More importantly than that, after that, they were able to go to their C-suite and literally show that video. And finally, management understood the power of what they were working on. And so that was really positive feedback for us. I could spend the whole afternoon showing you different videos, but if you want different case studies, or if you have another idea, you have our contacts, please don't hesitate to reach out. So before I say goodbye, we're all about working smarter. We want the tools for enterprise need to evolve, and we certainly have put a lot of work into making that happen. We want to help you stop the guesswork and give you precise, guided insights that you can use to advance more effectively through your projects. It's time for change, and tools for AI in businesses need to change, need to evolve. It's like a team sport, and if you believe that AI is a team sport, you want to give your team the best equipment to win. And if you do that, you'll speed up the development cycle for AI solutions, and you'll eliminate a lot of the frustration as well. Let data scientists and ML folks do that, which is what they love, and less of the DevOps and all the tool stuff that they have to deal with because nothing's available right now. And let them get the tools that will get management buy-in and client support, so that ultimately you have better solutions that are trusted, that are human understandable, and that are sure to be successful when you deploy. So in conclusion, AI is a team sport, and we believe that Zetane is the software for AI teams in industry. We believe that through Zetane, we've certainly addressed the N-X challenge by helping you eliminate a lot of the work that you're doing in these areas that are really not adding value and should not be part of what you have to do to get your AI projects and your machine learning projects running. And on top of that, we want to save you the frustration of those futile iterations that come back negative. So please, again, contact us anytime. I'd love to get feedback. I'd love to get questions and insights. Don't forget the promo code. And on that note, thank you very much for joining us on this webinar, and looking forward to hearing back from you.